Hello, my name is Nick Thomas. I'm a professional juggler and slinkier, and today we're gonna learn how to juggle a slinky in one hand. It looks something like that. So let's get started. Now this is definitely one of the most difficult slinky tricks to learn how to do, so I would really recommend learning a few other tricks before starting this one, because if you just get started with this one, you're really gonna have a tough time. And you're definitely gonna also want a very responsive slinky. So that's one with thick coils and not too many of them. So one that's about 3.5 inches tall with somewhere around 35 to 40 coils. If you have more than that, it's gonna be a little bit tougher. This slinky, I believe, has 38 coils, so it makes it pretty responsive, so it's kind of a nice, smaller, tighter pattern. And this slinky, I believe, has 43 coils, so it makes it for a lot bigger of a pattern, so this is a little bit harder to learn with. If you want some recommendations, you can click on the links below in the description, and even one of them is 10% off with code NICKT. The first thing you're gonna wanna do is decide which hand is going to do the flips. I do most tricks with my left hand, but for some reason I chose my right hand to learn this, so whichever one feels more comfortable. You're gonna start with a slinky in the opposite hand that you're gonna do the flips with, grab about 3 or so of the coils, and we're gonna make a movement sort of like an N shape as if we were about to do a bounce. And once the slinky goes right over your hand, so right when it crosses that plane, what we're going to do is throw the slinky into the air, not at a 45-degree angle, but sort of like a 25 to 30-degree angle. It's not gonna be straight up, and it's not gonna be 45. It's gonna be right about here, so right about there, and then let go. So now what ideally is gonna happen is the slinky will flip over itself, and we're really gonna keep our eye on the end that we just threw, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna flip over itself, and then we're gonna try to catch that same end. So we're always gonna have the focus on the end that we do the initial pull with. So that's gonna be our big focus when starting off. Do the N shape, flip in the air, catch it, and then we're gonna try to get the other end to kind of naturally fall away. If the slinky didn't naturally flip over to the other side, then that means we didn't throw it high enough or at a steep enough angle. Ideally, we want the slinky to go a little bit higher than our head and flip over, but if you have a slinky that has a few more coils, it's gonna have to probably be a little bit higher. So N shape, toss in the air, and then let it flip over. So now once we do that throw, right when the slinky starts to flip over to the other side, that's when we throw it again. But one thing to note is we're not really gripping the slinky in between each throw. I sort of just keep my hand kind of open and just sort of keep doing this motion. And the motion that we throw with is sort of a slow throw upwards and then a quick back down to catch the slinky when it flips. So we'll try to do 2 rounds now. So throw, throw, catch. And again, it should flip over to the other side. Throw, throw, catch. Now, when you first get started, you might find that the slinky is sort of colliding with itself. If that's happening, it's not flipping over enough, or you're making the throw too early. So if you make the throw too early, it doesn't have time to flip over to the other hand. We really only want to make that throw when the slinky is all the way over to the other side of your hand before making that throw. Because if we do it too early, it's just gonna collide with itself like that. And that's why it's important when you're first starting out that the slinky is flipping over itself and not just staying on the same side. So now we're gonna do 1, 2, make sure the slinky flips over, and then restart. 1, 2, just like that. Now when you first get started, you're probably only gonna be able to do 1 or 2 rounds, but then slowly build it up to 3 and 4, just like that. So my biggest tip when getting started is make sure you're always watching the end that you are catching. You don't want to focus on the other end too much, you just want to make sure that it's over on the other side of your hand before making the throw. You also really want to make sure you're not catching the end too high in the air because that'll prevent it from flipping over itself. So make sure you're catching it kind of down low. And the more you practice, the more you kind of learn where the slinky is gonna end up based on where it's at in the flip. So a lot of times you might not do the throw perfectly, but you'll kind of know, oh, it's gonna end up more this way or more this way, and you can kind of prep for that. But once it starts to feel comfortable, it'll look a little bit more like this. And once you learn how to juggle the slinky in one hand, you can actually juggle in the other hand. And if you get really good, you can actually try to do 2 at the same time. And then separate times, it looks like this. If you're having trouble and you're not sure what's going wrong, try to record yourself and then compare it to mine and see what the differences are. So if you have any problems when learning this trick, you can let me know in the comments down below and I can try to help you out best I can. And also let me know if you have any ideas for future videos. Subscribe for more. I'll see you next time.